What is up, Team Eternal? Welcome to another EPL Eternal Logos podcast. We're back in the building. We are in the month of October. We're approaching Halloween and then ultimately, obviously, the holidays that are coming up at the end of the year. It's going to be such an exciting end of the year. And today for you, we have a podcast, a session with some really cool people in the building. Specifically, we're going to be interviewing and podcasting and talking to my friend Shelby, who I met not too long ago, through my friend Michael Beasley. Michael Beasley, you're the man. Thank you so much for making this happen.
Hi, Michael.
Just excited about the possibilities of this because there's some really cool things happening behind the scenes with this young lady and some of the things that she's involved in. So we'll make sure we get you guys that information and explain some of what that is. Also, right after this, we're going to be doing some promotional stuff that's going to be really cool for Shelby and the things that she's involved in. And so just a lot of cool, exciting things happening at the end of the year. Hopefully you guys will stay tuned. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this conversation, as you always do. We love what goes on here, and enough of me talking. Let's get this thing on the road. So like normal, Shelby's going to introduce herself, and she's also going to introduce the topic, and then we're going to have some fun conversation and get the...
So yes, please stay tuned. I promise it will be fun. All right, so my name is Shelby Fidelman. In the art world, my colleagues are calling me Fiddlesticks.
That's great.
Long story, but it's funny. So I figured to be a good segue into the thing that we will be talking about later is that we could talk about video games and like media or like shows and movies or something in that area, and we can just nerd out for a bit.
Yeah, that sounds good. Before we get into that, so on the podcast, I like to get people to introduce themselves and their worldview, and also plug some of the social media as well up front, right? So we can make sure we get that in there.
So I am a Christian. I was raised in a Christian home. And I believe that the Bible is true, and I try my best every day to work on my relationship with the Lord and be more like Jesus, you know? And what else?
Just some of the social media you can plug.
Social media.
Personal and otherwise, anything you want.
So you can find me at... Shelby Fidelman on Instagram, or Fiddlesticks Art, or even on now Mod Animation or Mod Studio Animations website, which will be explained later. So yeah, a little bit everywhere.
That's awesome.
A little bit everywhere.
Cool. Okay, so with video games, nerding out, you said you have an animation studio that is kind of being worked on right now, that you guys are kind of building up, sort of I like to call things that are starting at the ground project level, where it's just like you're kind of putting things together, the ideas, you're gathering the people and the resources in order to sort of get to the step where you can actually produce the thing you're attempting to produce. What's that been like so far? And then we'll get into some more of the nitty-gritty about animation, because I'm actually curious about your opinion and your position on what you think animation can do for your worldview. What do what's the motive behind the animation studio and those kinds of things?
Very good questions. So, wow, my brain goes blank instantly. That's fantastic. This is going to be a long time. So, yes, I am a part of Mod Studio Animations, which is a brand new studio that is just now starting out. We are on our first project. We are seeking funding.
Donate.
And we are a faith-based company. So our goal is to create more edifying content because of the lack thereof in our world, and it is such a need. Because with the way that society is, like everything is screens. That is how we take in all of our information nowadays. That is how we take in all of our entertainment. And shoot, me too. I'm like, I grew up on video games. I love watching movies. That's how I became to love doing this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see a lot of it out there as far as Christian-based stuff or things that glorify God.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much of the opposite.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, and it's just getting more and more and more graphic. So we are a bunch of artists from literally all over the world. We have people in different countries on our team, and we're all doing it remotely.
Yeah.
We meet once a week.
That's pretty cool.
On call to like give like updates. And we are working on creating a TV show to be released out on YouTube first. That will be like have some faith-based content, but also, like a little bit of cyberpunk style.
Yeah.
About three brothers who reconnect as the world falls apart around them. I think it's going to be fantastic. It's
That's
going to
really
be
cool.
It's really exciting. As a fellow nerd, and just thinking like, oh man, not only do I get to participate in something that I grew up loving, but I also get to do it for Jesus.
Yeah.
And help people get to know Jesus through things that they're already going to be doing.
Yes.
Like watching a TV show on YouTube.
Yep.
So it's just like, it's exciting and like, why not? You know?
That's awesome. That's really cool. I also, and you guys have probably commented this, but got the ceremonial flip. We get like every time.
How dare
But
you?
that's okay.
Oh,
It's okay.
no.
We're getting better. There it
Alphabet
is.
no.
Okay, so I think what's really cool about that is because we talked a little bit before the podcast, probably about a month and a half ago or so. And what I relate to that is the purpose of this podcast isn't to necessarily be overtly about my specific worldview, but rather introduce my worldview through the medium of general conversation, right? I think reaching people most of the time happens in normal settings, right?
Exactly.
As you meet them on the streets, as you're going about your daily life, work, or what have you. I think that's the easiest way to introduce you to someone, to build rapport with someone, for them to get to know who you are, for you, in some sense, to reveal yourself to them. So I relate to that because what you're basically saying is using media and the content that people are already consuming, the platforms available to get that content to people in a way that will help them, that will open their eyes up to your worldview. I mean, that's just the nature of what people do when they produce content online or of any kind of form of entertainment. What do you think is lacking the most when it comes to the content, or rather, what do you think is motivating you to do this particular content? You kind of mentioned it a little bit, that they're getting so much of one thing, and so you're trying to produce and provide something else. Is that's the biggest motivator? But what do you think is sort of lacking about that? If you had to, say what the essential need that you're trying to fill is.
The personal opinion. Growing up as a Christian, you see, like, there were some Christian movies, there were some TV shows, but they were kind of cliche,
I get that.
borderline cringe, of like really getting the point across. Though I do love the Kendrick brothers. Shout out to y'all. And it's hard to create something the world will like, but still glorify God and put Jesus in it, to then like not only give them like a, hey, remember, this is an introduction if you haven't met this guy yet,
Right.
that we would really love for you to get to know. Or, hey, if you're struggling with other things in this world, but you still wish you, like, oh man, I wish I could watch TV, but there's just so much negativity, this is a safe space. And it's been hard to find that balance growing up.
Yep.
But as I've gotten older, I'm seeing nowadays it's becoming more popular. Like with like with Dallas creating The Chosen,
Yep.
humongous Chosen fan.
Yep. Same.
And really wish I could get in contact with those guys because I love them.
Yeah.
And yeah, see, hi guys.
If you somehow come across
Call
my
us.
podcast.
Train of thought. Goodbye.
Yep. You're saying The Chosen is one of your
and just
popular
seeing
ones
like
that you love. Yeah.
there's shows out there and they're becoming more popular, and with the way the world is going within the past couple months,
Yeah.
people want it. There are people who are thirsty for the word and hunger for getting to know more biblically based things in public, in places like on TV, or it's not so like, oh, you can't talk about that because it might offend somebody.
Right.
And that just puts a fire in me of like, yes, okay, you know what? We're not going to be silent anymore because Jesus does love you.
Yeah.
You can be angry at him all you want, but he's still going to love you.
Yeah.
And we're going to create a show for you to enjoy that also will feed your spirit, you know?
Yeah. Do you find, and I think this is interesting, because like you said, there's this thin line, at least in the past, with certain videos or movies or TV shows that were overtly Christian in nature. And I use overtly to say, because you're like, well, some of them were kind of cringe. It's kind of like, it's clear that we're trying to put, like, it's just not like, okay, like the 10 Commandments, the old 10 Commandments movie. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, clearly when you turn it on, you know it's about the 10 Commandments.
Well, just like
But-
script, you know?
Yeah,
of like
exactly.
the scripting can be like, okay, you're laying it on thick.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
get it.
Right, right.
But that also is coming from somebody who grew up in the church. So
Right,
that might
exactly.
come differently to somebody who didn't
Mm-hmm.
and has never heard it before. So that is just my purview of like, okay, I get it. That I appreciate it, but this is kind of silly.
Yeah.
And it can be difficult, but there are ways, and we just got to get creative with it
I
to
agree.
get it out there to the people, especially this younger generation. There are some shows out there that I've not watched all of it, just clips and stuff, because I have felt personally convicted that I am deeply concerned about. Of artistically, they're amazing. From a designer perspective, they're amazing. From a context, though, like I'm afraid to even say it because I don't want like backlash, but like
Yeah, this podcast, we're uncensored.
Hell of a Boss, Has Been Hotel, it bothers me because it is making the devil look like a good guy, in heaven look like the bad guys, and it is desensitizing people.
Yeah.
And kind of just flipping the script of like, oh no, we're just misunderstood. You want to be on our team because we're the cool people. They're the ones that have the problem. And coming with like someone who's a con goer like I am, of course I haven't been in years, but
Samesies. Love cons.
love cons, they're fun. Seeing all these people in the crowds who love these shows from a Christian perspective, not an artist perspective, it saddens me because it's like, I wonder how what's going on under the surface and what we don't see of like what seeds being planted there that is ultimately going to be dangerous for people growing up and just in the spiritual things, because there is a spiritual battle going on that
100%.
we can't see. We don't know the extent of it, but it is there.
Yeah. You know, we could 100% go down that road with this podcast. We'll definitely stay on the topic, but I do want to say a couple things about that because, I mean, for all the people out there who are Bible believers, you do believe that the nature of evil, so to speak, right, is flipping or twisting the truth, right? And so I think in our culture today, what we see and what we are experiencing is, like you said, there's this attempt to try to, in the name of something good, like, hey, equality, how could you disagree with that, right? and smuggle it in such a way that is trying to flip the script and, like you said, say we're not the bad guys. You know what I mean? Like we're not that bad, right? On the one hand, one can appreciate the idea of trying to be equal and be, stop evil, right?
Right.
Stop bigotry, discrimination, and all those things, right? But there is a spectrum. When you go too far in one direction, oftentimes that leads to bad outcomes, right? So a question that I have for you with regard to that is, what do you think specifically animation can do for it? This might be a bit of a tough question. Like why not make live action movies? Why animation?
I think doing just live action pigeonholes yourself.
Right.
Animation hits a specific audience, just like with anything. Any medium will always have a specific audience. And I think with animation, you might be getting different people. Whereas like live action, you'd probably be getting a wider net because it's more normal, maybe.
Yeah.
But with animation, I could see it getting to younger crowds because, of course, when we're young, that's what we watch. We watch cartoons, we watch animated shows and stuff like that. There's the nerd cultures, of people who enjoy. I mean, I'm 31 and I still enjoy watching animated shows for one, entertainment, and two, as an artistic thing.
Yeah, Shelby's an artist. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Thank you. I'm a concept artist for the studio, so I love watching stuff and like being inspired by that. Like, oh, how'd they do that?
Yep.
So it's always enjoyable to me. So what animation could do is just reach people that maybe live action couldn't, or would get different people interested that wouldn't normally seek it out. Because if you're watching this cyberpunk animated show, not knowing anything about it, and then all of a sudden they have some like, oh, they're talking about Jesus. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Or
it's like unassuming.
I'm a little curious on where this is going to go. Then that just opens the door for the Lord to plant the seed.
Yep.
And that in the way that our studio is going is like, if we can just get one person, if one person walks away with something that the Lord does with this show, that's enough.
Yeah. That is also my motivation too, with a lot of things that I'm doing, which I think is the right way to approach it. Right. You can't imagine necessarily or believe that you're not doing something right if you don't reach a certain number of people, right? 1 million. If I don't get 1 million subscribers, if I don't get 1 million likes, if I don't get
that
1 million,
would be nice.
Yeah. Always welcome. It's always welcome. That's something I always say on the podcast. I'm just like, hey, you don't have to like, you don't have to subscribe, but commenting is mandatory. And because I want to start the conversation, right? I think that's where it begins. And I think that's what animation and just all of these mediums in general can provide for people. It just starts a conversation.
Exactly.
It opens the door. Exactly. And I think particularly with animation, I think we'll segue probably into our nerd stuff. It's just the creative freedom of animation to be able to tell a story visually that live action might not be able to accomplish. And so I think that is, to me as a creator, because I'm a creative as well too, that it is what excites me, right? What excites me, I'm a musician. And so when I'm playing music or something like that, just the ability to be able to express in a way that words potentially cannot, but also leave open for interpretation to some degree.
Exactly.
Right. And allow the thoughts to come to you as you're experiencing, you're watching it, or you're playing it. Allow that to be a motivator to inspire different thoughts and take it in at a pace that you can handle, right? Because a lot of times you can get people to watch content and you want them to see it a certain way, or see it the way that you want to see it. When you're reading a book or interpreting something, you kind of want them. But I think also, obviously, there is the leaving it open for interpretation and expression for them to take it in as they see fit for them at a pace that's good for them. And so it's not overwhelming.
Yeah. And I do feel like that's exactly what using the gift that God has given you for his glory is all about. Because as an artist who loves fantasy, I've always wondered, like, okay, God, how do I use this to honor you?
Right.
I like drawing.
That is a challenge. It is a challenge.
It is a challenge. How do I like drawing D&D and dragons and things that don't exist in fairy tale stuff, but how does that honor you? By doing that, using your gifts to open the door for God to then use it in someone else's life. You don't know how he's going to use it, but he still has a plan, and you're just being the instrument. And you don't need to know how he's going to use it. That's part of the fun, almost.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the exploration of that. Favorite movie?
Impossible question.
In terms of you're nerding out, right? If we're thinking in the context of being a nerd, what's your favorite movie?
Okay, that is a very impossible question for somebody who watches as much as I do, but I will say the first one that comes to mind is this has been like my Lord of the Rings era this year, is I've really gotten into that.
That's I feel like that's the correct answer.
Always.
Like,
I am a hobbit.
Okay, why is it your favorite movie? And does this sort of inspire sort of your, as an artist, I feel like, and I know many of them, I work with artists, usually people become professional artists because of things like, exploration of imagination, pathos.
I remember when it first came out, and I was just young enough not to really understand it. So I didn't really get into Lord of the Rings until my late 20s. I grew up loving Disney, and Disney was what made me want to be an artist. But we also grew up in that wonderful golden age of watching it all.
That's true. 90s, you know what I mean? You say it's greatest, time and generation.
Greatest ones.
Just saying.
So what I love about Lord of the Rings, one, I'm a high fantasy fan. Well, depending on how you define that, because I was also a literary student. So depending on how you define that, I like medieval fantasy. When it comes to like dragons, castles, and magic, I'm a fan. I still enjoy Star Wars, but the futuristic sci-fi stuff, not my thing.
Okay, so I got to say this because not too long ago, maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, maybe longer than that, but got into a debate about this. I was like,
if you ask me which one's better, there is no answer.
Well, it wasn't that. It was sci-fi and fantasy, and I was just like, somebody would mention, they were like, oh, fantasy, like Star Wars. And I was like, no, that's sci-fi. That's totally different. And so
it depends.
If you have thoughts about this, please let me know, because I looked it up.
That's another podcast, because there is an argument there. I'm getting some of my college classes flashbacks right now from my Creating Fantastic Worlds. Yes, that was actually a class. And
That's awesome.
there's an argument of where is the line drawn.
Exactly. I looked it up, and it said that sci-fi is fantasy, but I think that is BS, and I think that should change in the histories. I think that should be wiped out, and it should have its own genre, because fantasy is medieval fantasy, not lasers. I just think that's just the way that it should be.
I think in with that, I agree. I completely agree with you. I think in that subsect, it's like there is fantasy because it is fiction, and sci-fi is a subsect, but a futuristic subsect to where it's like machines, robots, space travel, technology we do not have. Like maybe even steampunk would be stretching it.
Right. So would you count? Would you count Harry Potter? That's fantasy. Well, I guess it's wizards, so I guess that counts.
Potter is
that
fantasy.
technically counts. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
They
that
have
100% makes. Yeah. Trying to think of some other.
I'm a Christian, but I also love Harry Potter.
I
My
mean,
line
Rowling.
is when it is children imagination fun. That's okay. That's where I sit.
Yeah. All right. So, comic book, is that fantasy? Like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man.
Superhero stuff.
Yep, superhero stuff. See, if it's fiction, And we're making an argument that Star Wars sci-fi
I
is
would
fantasy.
say, well, urban fantasy.
that's great.
That is
I think all right, that's fair enough. If we're gonna we gotta everything has to have an adjective. If that's what we're doing.
That's a legit like subsect though. That is a section in the
Really?
in the bookstore.
I'm learning something. I clearly need to spend more time in Barnes and Nobles.
Or at least I think so, because as I also read a lot, and I know like for somebody who reads Sarah J. Maas, I know, I hear you. Okay, just deal with it. I like it for the actual plot people. I know like one is medieval fantasy types, but another one is more cityscape, and that is an urban fantasy.
Okay.
But they still have magic and elves and
Okay, I guess you
like
update and you upgrade. That makes sense.
kind of
okay.
like Onward from Disney. I would say that's more urban fantasy because it's still kind of set, but with modern day anemones things.
Yep. Okay. I asked the question about what you think animation, like why animation, the stories that you can tell in a sci-fi film or a sci-fi animation that might not necessarily be, you might not be able to tell the same story because of the creative expression and the ability of an artist to be able to explore the possibilities of the creative sort of process. Well, I guess maybe this is the question. As far as the story that you guys are writing at this animation studio, is it a fantasy? Is it how would you classify the genre of this?
Oh dear. I know that the style is very kind of, it is cyberpunk. So it's kind of more futuristic technology stuff with some kind of rules bent a little bit into the fantasy realms. So I would probably lean more closer to sci-fi than to fantasy.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because it is an urban setting. There are cars. There are mecha police things and just that kind of style, like neon lights and much more kind of Total Recall as far as like aesthetic goes.
Yep.
From what I'm thinking of. I know that the creator Terrell like found like as far as animation style found a lot of inspiration from like Avatar: The Last Airbender and Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, nice. Oh,
so
classic.
I know.
Classic.
Good choice.
Yes.
Good choice.
Yes. Is that also the art style?
Yes. Yes, that's going to be the art style.
Yeah. That is so exciting. Maybe go over a little bit briefly, like what the story is about. You did mention before the steampunk, and you might have mentioned the three brothers.
Okay, so the storyline is, if I can remember it in detail, that would be nice. Insert section here in post. I know that it's going to be like, there's going to be three brothers who are kind of, or two brothers that are estranged that come together in search for the third. And the world is just crumbling around them. And there is an affliction going on, a mysterious affliction going on, that one of the brothers struggles with and will have to overcome. I know that sounds very vague.
I'm riveted though.
But I don't want to give too much away because if only I had visuals. I wish I could give you visual aids, but we're still in production right now. But even the stuff we have is just so exciting. So I can't wait. I'm in it.
Okay. I really am. So many questions. So an affliction. Okay, so we talking like zombie affliction? Are we talking a psychological affliction? Social?
It's like affliction? A darkness.
Okay.
That like spreads from what I've seen. I can't tell you much.
Okay, fair enough.
I can't
Fair
tell you
enough.
any details. I'm sorry. I wish I could.
I'm sure you want this when people watch this. What do you hope they get out of it? What do you hope that they're inspired by? I don't know how religious the film will get, right? At the end of it, there's like, do you see like bright light and a cross at the end? You know what I mean? Like that.
Personally, I do not know.
Okay.
Because I have not read. I have not seen the script yet. Because I'm just a concept artist. I personally have drawn background characters for wide shots.
Okay.
That is what I have done. For that, you'd have to talk to Terrell.
Fair enough.
What originally happened is this is a comic book that he made.
I see.
That he actually had created, and we are adapting that comic book into a TV show, which was actually really fun as an exercise because I just took a club scene, and it's just a bunch of like headshots of people. And I just took those headshots, put them all in a row, and I just drew the rest of their bodies. And I was like, okay, there you go.
That's awesome.
It was so fun. As an artist, it was a very fun exercise.
Yeah.
Anyways, remind me the question.
No, it was just
I'm very ADHD.
It was whether it's going to be overly religious and sort of like. So what do you think people are going to get out of it? What do you hope that people get out of it? Inspired
I don't think it'll be beating you over the head with it. I think it'll be, or at least I hope that we will find the sweet spot of enough message to where it will open the door, plant the seed, get people interested, but not be like I don't want to watch that because it's
about Jesus.
It's Jesus.
Right.
Not that that's a bad thing,
right,
but
absolutely.
Coming from trying to get people who are not necessarily believers, there's some finagling to get the hook, you know?
Yeah.
To get rid of that stigma.
Yeah. I'm a believer in that as well too. I think when you actually read the Bible, it was full of very real people. Like they weren't like, you know what I mean? Like they made mistakes and all of those things. And I think that is the best way to spread a message, is to remind people like, hey, we're all human, and
that's one of the reasons
issues.
why I loved The Chosen so much.
Yep.
Was it took Jesus and made him more relatable.
Right.
I love Jonathan Rumi so much for what he did because it was just like he made Jesus more real to me.
Right.
By showing a little bit of the human side.
Yep.
Because we never got to see that in everything else that's ever been produced. So it was very nice.
Yeah. You mentioned Lord of the Rings. I'm in my mind, I'm seeing this be very similar to Lord of the Rings, right? For all those who don't know, Tolkien was a Christian, right? And so he took his Christian ideas, Christian message, and put it into Lord of the Rings, right? That's the undertone of that. But you wouldn't necessarily know.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But it's there.
That is what I believe the goal is, because Terrell did say we're going for Chronicles of Narnia, not VeggieTales. As far as like an example of what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
As far as like how in depth and detailed it gets, I personally do not know because I was not accessed the script. That'll be very interesting when we get some voice actors.
I can just see the joy in your face as you're talking about this. What do you think Tolkien did well? What do you think he did right with respect to what you guys are going for, right? Because, and I'll give my thoughts as well, too, because...
That's a big question, my guy. That's a big question.
He asks the big questions on this podcast.
I know.
Difficult
and
ones.
I love it because I'm such a collegiate kind of thinker, but it's so hard to come up with the words on the spot. One of the things that I love about Lord of the Rings.
And this is interesting for me, too, because you said you didn't see it until your 20s. Like, I remember watching it as a kid.
I remember watching it as a kid, but I never really understood it.
Okay, fair enough.
Other than like honestly, it was really scary as a kid. Be honest.
Schmeagle.
I was born in '94, so whenever that movie came out, I was like...
Was it Smeagol? It was Golem?
No, it was Shelob.
Really?
The spider.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That gave me nightmares. But also, giant spider? Who would that not freak out? One of the things that I love about Tolkien is the the hero's journey
Mm-hmm.
and seeing all of the character development, not just for the main character, but for several different people.
Yeah.
As a writer, I have a lot of respect for that because that is not easy to do. That's a
It
lot
is
of
not.
keeping track.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know, there's just so much I do love because I love the seeing the journey of Frodo
Mm-hmm.
and the struggle and being okay to struggle
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to be a struggle. It's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be easy,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not alone. And that's one of the things that makes Lord of the Rings my favorite is because I strive to be not only Jesus to people,
Mm-hmm.
but to be their Samwise.
That's a quote right there.
I can't carry it for you, Mr. Frodo, but I can carry you.
Sure.
So
Such a great, beautiful part. I tell people, I always ask people like, oh, who's your favorite character? Right.
Samwise
And
Gamgee,
I think
hands down.
a lot of people do be hating on Frodo. But I defend him. I'm a Frodo defender. So
I
come at
agree.
me if you don't like. Come on the podcast. We can talk about this.
Not our blue-eyed baby.
Right.
He's okay.
But I get it, right? Like he's annoyingly innocent, right? But it's that annoyingly innocence that gives him the ability to carry the
That
ring,
purity there.
right? Yeah.
To not be affected as long as he was, because eventually he was.
Exactly. Right. And so he's the character to me that has a burden on his shoulders that he takes on because of that purity.
Mm-hmm.
I think about like in the Fellowship, right? When he's like, okay, well, I'm leaving the party, I'm leaving the company to kind of go on a different path, right? He comes to that realization, recognizing that he's going to be the reason that they all died, right?
So yeah,
exactly. And so that's such an incredible realization for a character or for anybody to come to.
It's a sacrifice,
right? It's to leave your friends and to leave who you believe can protect you, right? Because he's a hobbit, right? Like he doesn't know how to fight or any of that, right? He only has the purity to lean on, and that's what carries him through. But it's also the scariest part for him, and so I think there is a lot that can be extracted from that.
Yeah.
I say that to set up this. Who's your favorite character? And you said Samwise.
Samwise Gamgee, hands down. Why?
Yes.
Because he's the best character ever written.
Oh, hot take right there. Best character ever written.
Most likely. I know that's a lot, but
dig in. I'm definitely interested.
I get this from one of my youth pastors because he is a humongous nerd and I love him so much. David Moyer, oh my God. And he kind of helped instill this love of Samwise Gamgee to me by helping me realize just how much of a good friend he is. And I see him kind of being like either like Jesus or like Holy Spirit in the, I can't do it for you because that's not good for you. You still have to walk this out, but I'm going to be with you every step of the way and I will help carry you there. And that to me is just the ultimate example of what true love is. And kind of like that, no greater love than this, than he who would lay his life down for his friends.
Yep.
I feel like that is who Sam is to Frodo. He is the Jonathan to Frodo's David, of like, I am there for you till the end.
Yeah.
And that's what I love, and I strive to be that for other people.
Is that your favorite Sam part? I can't carry it for you, that ending. That
whole monologue of
he has so many good monologues. He does.
Yeah, there's some really one-liners.
I literally will go back and just watch like Lord of the Rings, like just the scenes where there's just like monologues.
Though Pippin's a close second, I will say that, just because I love him. He has the best one-liners. Bye-bye. Goodbye, train. One of the things that I love about like the whole of like there's still good in this world and it's worth fighting for.
It's one of my favorite monologues, by the way. It's such a good.
You were raised right.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that synopsis of the character, of his character. I think one of the best moments as well to me is when Frodo sends him away. Like he leaves. Like I think that's a really significant part, right? He does it sadly, of course, because he doesn't want to, because he's like, well, no, I'm the one that you actually should trust.
Yeah.
Gollum's the one that's tricking you. But he leaves anyway. But then he comes
doesn't
back.
Go far.
Yeah, exactly.
He still follows behind.
Exactly.
He never really leaves.
Right. Yep.
Holy Spirit.
Yep. Exactly. Man, that's great. And best character ever written. If you had to defend this if you were in a debate.
I would need a little bit more preparation and to look up some academic journals, but I could probably write a good persuasive paper on this.
I'm about that life. I'm gonna need this to get
taking me back to my college days for my professional writing minor, but all right.
All right. Least favorite character.
Oh, least favorite character. Either, of course, their name escapes me, and that just hurts my heart because I don't want to like give my nerd card up. But either Worm, whatever his name is, the snivelly guy in Rohan who whispers in the king's ear.
Oh, yes.
He's just creepy. He is just flat out creepy, and the way he keeps looking at her, and I'm just like, ew, no.
It's such a significant part in the story.
I know he is, but it doesn't mean I have to like him. He's just plain creepy. And then, whatever his name is at the father of Boromir and Faramir.
Yes, yeah, the king. That's the king.
Oh my gosh, I just want to slap him. I'm just, dude, come on, you're being stubborn for the sake of being stubborn.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything is falling apart. It is obvious. Do something.
Yeah. There is Faramir. While he doesn't have a huge, he doesn't get a lot of screen time. I just say that.
Yeah.
But when he releases Frodo and Sam, that's like one of my favorite, because it's after Sam, that entire sequence. Sam gives the monologue. There's still some good in the world, Mr. Frodo, and then he releases them.
We love Faramir because he got a bad rap.
He did.
With the whole, why can't you be like your brother? Not okay, man. Be a better dad.
If you had to say or explain Lord of the Rings to someone who had never seen it and you were really trying to get them to see it, what would you tell them?
Oh, dear me. I would say it is an epic journey to vanquish a great evil that seems impossible and against all odds. With one of the, it reminds me of what Gandalf says in The Hobbit, of how Saruman believes that great strength comes from great things, but I think it comes from the small things, the small acts of kindness. And that's why I like Bilbo so much, because he gives me courage and I am afraid.
Yeah. Oh, so many good parts.
So many good things. Oh my God. I love Gandalf too. He's
Gandalf
a close one.
Yeah. I feel like there's in certain movies, there's like the obvious favorite character. When I'm asked who my favorite character is, I try to steer away from that because I don't want to be cliche.
I do the same because I don't want to
let me find the blade of grass in season 2 because it was just the frame.
Yeah, I don't want to pick the obvious one. And Legolas is funny because Orlando Bloom just bombs the camera all the time.
Did you have a crush on Legolas? Most women did.
Nope.
Really?
No, because I liked him in Pirates of the Caribbean. That's my movie for him.
If you guys couldn't tell, we have other people in the room. They're just enjoying the podcast with us.
Don't look at me weird, Anna.
And it's funny. It's good stuff. I think, so let me give you this. So I think the reason why I'm a creative and I love creativity, and I expressed this a little bit before, because the ability to be able to tell a story creatively, And I think when you think about something like fantasy, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, you can for X amount of time, hours, and I think all three Lord of the Rings movies are like 13 hours or something like that. It's a lot.
Over that.
Right.
Extended edition.
You can kind of you can take a character and take them on a character arc, right? Because all of the characters, you see them grow. You see them start somewhere, you see them grow. Boromir, you see him start somewhere, and within a movie, within a couple of scenes, he's basically a different person at the end.
High, low, then high again, redemption arc.
Yeah, and I think people picking favorite characters, people picking favorite scenes is really a highlight for the significant things that they feel that have happened to them in their life. So it's creativity in that way also gives people a personal connection in a way that they might not otherwise get, right? You can tell a very, very quick story. You can tell a story very quickly, right? And so I just think the reason why I'm a nerd is because of that. Like as a kid, I grew up either hearing stories, playing video games that told stories, watching movies, TV shows, cartoons. That was the purpose of them, right? It was to get across some great principle or some great moral or value to be instilled in you and to help you in times where it's difficult or tough, right?
And as an outlet for catharsis.
Right.
Of just feeling that emotion that is difficult for you to feel, and then that can actually help you walk through those feelings.
Right. Exactly. And I think Christianity does that, right? Like Christianity is like the original, like the greatest story of all time, the original, the OG story that does that. And everything's present from my perspective in the Bible. Obviously, there's the history element, there's the supernatural element, there's the imaginative element, there's metaphor, there's all kinds of stuff.
It was used, like, one of the things that they will say in school, if you go to art school, which I'm assuming both of us went, is that sometimes you can argue that there is no original idea. Everybody uses something off of something else. There is always, you take an idea and you kind of expand upon it. A lot of things come from the Bible because that's where the first stories of civilization ever came from. That can be argued, unless you get real nitpicky with history.
Right.
So you can see a lot of it in media throughout history of using that, like even in Renaissance theater, it was very heavily churchified.
Yep. What do you think is the biggest challenge to this kind of medium, telling these kinds of stories? Well, I think what the first challenge, and this is probably a bit of a funny one, as a kid, when you're growing up and you're a nerd, you kind of are not really accepted. You're kind of like the weirdo.
Yeah. We're cool now.
But we won. You know what I mean? We won.
Everybody wants to be like us
That's
now.
exactly right. What do you think the biggest challenge is to this?
I think it's a delicate balance as far as creating media for public consumption with a base in faith. Because not only is that opening up a door for people to like be introduced to this if they've never heard of it before, or to enjoy something instead of something else that bothers them, you're also opening up the door for a lot of hate.
How so?
Well, just think of like just having a conversation in a public space, someone overhears and then they start almost protesting of like, we're just having a conversation, or like anything. I feel like now, especially nowadays with the internet and social media and everything, if you say you're a Christian, you're more persecuted than anything nowadays, just for saying it.
Yeah.
Not even like the Christians that give us a bad name kind of
Right.
behavior
Yep.
of the, well, you don't agree with me, so you're against me mentality, which
Yeah.
I think is rampant on the internet.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
think it's the difficult thing is the balance of making a good show that will be popular, keeping it faith-based, and then being prepared for the backlash that is inevitable. Because, of course, the enemy is going to backlash you if you're doing something that's going to take away his audience.
Right.
He ain't going to like that.
What do you think? What do you think the biggest backlash, if you had to, that you guys might get for telling this kind of a story with these kind of undertones?
I mean, from the most part that I can think of is just hate speech on commenters or stuff like that. I mean, who else
The
would
internet, right? Just
Internet.
like-
just straight up internet. Like, what else would you think of being a YouTuber or a podcaster and putting your stuff out there? And there's always going to be somebody who's not going to like it and make noise about it. And in some cases, as we have seen politically in the past couple of months, it can get dangerous.
Yep.
I am hoping that that will never happen, but that's just kind of the reality of things.
Right.
People get passionate.
Obviously, there's examples of this in the world. J.K. Rowling is one of them. Was catching up on that story maybe a couple weeks ago or so. And I think she handled it very well. She handled it very gracefully.
Remind me of what, I don't think I'm in the know on the most recent.
J.K. Rowling. Well, it was basically, I think, she was commenting on some of the stuff that she had not commented on. And she kind of finally made a comment. She
People
kinda
making assumptions,
Yeah.
and then she finally saying, no, quit theorizing. And then people were like, but we like it, so you're wrong.
Well, it was kind of, so my understanding is years ago, she made comments about, I think, around the transgender, made comments about that.
Oh,
And I think
yeah,
like
yeah,
Daniel
yeah.
Radcliffe and Emma Watson were making comments about her and kind of distancing themselves from her because she made those comments because of some of the
And
stuff we're
that's
talking
going
about.
to be inevitable when you speak truth.
And so I think recently, Emma Watson went on a podcast and she basically kind of was, a lot of people were speculating that she was basically trying to clean up some of what she had said. And so J.K. Rowling made a comment, I think on X, and basically kind of was like, well, I haven't really said anything. I didn't, but she kind of dug into Emma Watson a little bit on that podcast. So we were like, oh, she finally responded. Or she finally said something.
People can grow. If they want to take something back, they can grow.
Yeah. So there's examples of this in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have very, very popular stories that people tell authors. They write stories, characters.
And just because the person doesn't agree with LGBTQ or whatever is popular, then they will burn you at the stake
Right.
for disagreeing.
Right.
Regardless of if, doesn't have anything to do with it in the first place. And that hurts my heart personally because it's like, no, guys, we don't have to be enemies if we disagree.
Right.
It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah, I agree. I think what's interesting about that, and I don't know the statistics or data around this per se, I don't have the numbers, but it seems as though J.K. Rowling, the story that she told, has outlived that sort of, right? Like it wasn't like, oh, no, we're not selling Harry Potter books anymore. We're not telling anymore. They're like, no, we're going to be actually doing a TV show.
They're still doing
Like,
stuff. They just opened up a whole new area in Epic Universe. It's still going.
Right. So I think that's a testament to if you are about the truth, it'll stand regardless of, what backlash you might get.
Yeah.
Right. It will stand ultimately.
Yeah.
And I think that is largely what a lot of these stories, the truth, the underlining tone is in Lord of the Rings, there's a great evil and it needs to be fought. Right. And if you stay true, if you stay focused, if you lean on values while you may waver, you'll eventually see the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right. And so that for me has been just
Good
as a
will conquer
creative
evil.
has
Yeah.
always been something that's just inspired me to do, and to press on no matter what I'm doing, whether it's coming up with a podcast or writing a piece of music or just having a conversation with somebody, right? You stand on values, you stand on something that's true, real, and righteous. You'll be there at the end of the day,
Yeah.
so to speak. So do you feel like, does that
I do
resonate?
agree. I do agree. There is a right way, or there's not really a right way, but there is a wrong way of doing it.
Right.
And as long as you are respectful and just come with like, just kind of just love, of like, this is where I'm at. It is okay if you disagree. I'm not going to hold that against you because that's your opinion. That's fine. And it's just that kind of respect there that is good,
Yep. Yep. 100%. Let me ask this question. We can delve into this for a few minutes, and then we'll probably wrap up the podcast.
Cool.
If you had to start from scratch and write a story, where would you start, and how would you end?
It's like my life, because ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a fantasy writer. And I still have a flash drive with stories that I wrote in high school. Like, I think the most I got was like 14 pages.
It's impressive, a flash drive instead of a floppy disk. Kids out there might not know what a floppy disk is.
I'm not that old, you guys. Okay. I graduated high school in 2012. It's not that bad. And I've always wanted to write a story, but I've always had problems with it, of like feeling like I have moments, but I don't know how to string them together. My story is full of holes, and I don't know how to bridge the gaps. So I don't know. I've always asked God, I was like, okay, if this is what you want me to do, what is the story? Because as creative as I am, I'm coming up blank. I can have moments, but as far as an overwhelming arc, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always loved the idea of like a really nice hero arc of struggling with something and overcoming it, because that's my story. That's all of our story. There's always something that we struggle with, and then we will, with God's help, overcome it. So whether it's like a coming of age of like, okay, well, I need to do this thing, but I don't feel ready, and then learning how to get to the other side of that would be cool. I don't know. There's a million ideas in my brain, and it's very hard.
It's tough. It's the creative dilemma, I think, for all creatives. I asked this question because it's always been something that has fascinated me as well, because it's like you mentioned before, like usually things are copied to some degree, right?
Yes.
But whenever a new story is born and it becomes part of the culture, becomes just a household thing, right? Like we can't imagine anyone hasn't seen, Lord of the Rings, which they exist, believe it or not. Believe it or not, they exist. I won't call any names. People that I know.
You need to move
a conversation. But it's very difficult to come up with a story that's compelling, that gives you a sense that it's unique, but there is obviously, again, it stands on stands on truth, right? The truth is just what it is.
Yeah.
And so you can tell that story in different ways, but it's still difficult.
Because I didn't want to retell Chronicles of Narnia,
right.
but I didn't know how else to finagle putting some biblical truth in there without it being hit you over the head obvious.
Right,
you know?
Exactly. So is probably an easier question. Do you kill your main character? Because that's the heart wrench right there. That's what really brings people in.
As a writer or somebody who loves reading. And the thing that I love, this is so evil, you guys. As a writer, you put your characters through hell because that's what creates the story. You need conflict. Without conflict, there is no story. And the higher the stakes, usually the better it is as a reader or as in like an entertainment thing, because then you are on the edge of your seat, just like, oh my God, I can't put it down. I need answers, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I would not kill my character. Oh, but it would be close and heart-wrenching, and the love interest would think they're dead, and oh, there would be so many twists and turns. That's one of the reasons why I liked Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros so much, is they are very skilled at the plot twists and the emotional connection you get with these characters.
Yeah. What do you create? There's character-driven narrative and there's environment-driven narrative. Which are you? Do you lean more towards when you're writing a story?
Well, because I've always been a character-centered person. Growing up, I always created things. Like I could create animals in my imagination, or create characters of like, oh, this person does this, oh, this person does that. That's why I'm a concept artist, because that's literally what my job is I come up with a character, or someone gives me a character and says, here, what do they look like? Bam, there you go.
Yeah.
So I've always centered my stories around the person. But it is possible to go outwards of like, this is the setting. Geography matters because geography affects culture, and then therefore affects the people, and the people will then affect your character.
Yeah.
So it all goes together, and this is what really came down for the Writing for Fantastic Worlds class, because it was just like a lot. It was basically playing D&D in college. It was fantastic.
That's awesome.
So you can do it both ways, and they do overlap.
Yeah.
It just depends on where you want to start.
Yeah.
I like the character person first, and then working outward. It's like, do you want to work inward out or outward in is the direction.
Yeah. That is awesome. I can't wait. I'm sure people who have been listening to this can't wait to see the story, see where this goes, how it grows, how the animation studio does ultimately with this particular story, and more stories to come.
Yes.
Your personal story, your personal journey.
We have a few things in the queue, but we're working on our first project right now called Project Zero.
Awesome.
Oh no, 0 Point. Oh my God. 0 Point.
No, that's how early it is, but that's awesome because that means the ideas are still fresh and you're still creating. And so that's the beautiful thing about being able to be creative in that way, right? It's, you never know which direction, you know, sort of where you want to go, but it almost ultimately always evolves. But yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This was delightful.
This is the first nerd talk and discussion. There will be more because I'm a massive nerd. You can come back. We have a part 2, part 3. It is great.
It's a fun time.
Yeah, like I said earlier,
we didn't
in the
even
podcast,
get to the video game section.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll call this is the video movie one, and we'll talk video games next time because I love video games.
Next
just
time,
a different immersion. You know, you get immersed differently.
It is. Next time on podcast.
So thank you so much. It was fun.
It was so much
fun. Do you have any last parting
Micah.
words for the people? I always like giving people the last
Everyone
word.
can be creative. You just got to find the way that you do it. And it is okay to be different.
There you go. Like I said before, nerds, we won.
We won. And God loves you.
Again, thank you so much. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you had an amazing time. Like I always say, comments are mandatory. Likes, subscriptions are, you can do it if you'd like. But we definitely want to always start the conversation. We always want to have the conversation and get to know each other, right? I think that's the way of spreading truth, is talking and getting to know people. So that's the end of this podcast. But like we always say, the eternal never ends. Thanks, everybody.